Just cleaning up some of these cutoffs from another project here that you guys will see in a video coming up soon. But got home from holiday with the family, and it was pretty cold. I hadn't turned the electric heat or anything on, obviously. It was pretty warm when I left, and I don't have the wood boiler yet going. So let's go fire the wood boiler up and take the chill off. I'll clean out the rest of these ashes, I guess, that I should have done this spring. Just scraping some of the creosote off that's stuck to the walls. Alright, that looks pretty good. So that back there, if you can see right where my light is, that is the hole where the fan blows in, the induction fan for the firebox here. And that's what gets your fire ripping and roaring. I also want to replace the fire rope on these doors. So that's getting pretty crusty. Stuff's pretty crusty though. I've ran that for 4 or 5 years now and I haven't ever replaced that. That's important too. You really don't want the boiler to get a draft or get oxygen from anywhere when it's not calling for air or for heat. That's how you can end up boiling your water over too much. If there's air getting in there when it's already up to temp, that fire's just going to keep burning and getting hotter because you got the draft up through the stack, and it'll cause your boiler to overheat. It can crack your water jacket. It can cause all sorts of havoc. So good to get that replaced. I almost forgot this fan quit working last fall, or last spring actually. It was like almost to the end of the year. End of the wood burning year, so I didn't replace it right then. But I think what happened was, you can see this is pretty dark here. It's my evacuation system for smoke. When I open the door hot, pulls all the smoke out to keep this part of the building from filling up with wood smoke. And I think what happened, it was so hot, it actually pulled flame up into here, and I think it caught the wheel on fire, the fan wheel. So it's probably just a plastic fan wheel in there and it melted it. Gotta get this replaced. Alright, so I've got a whole video on this fan setup that I use to exhaust the smoke out of this part of the building, but it's wired in to this light here, which is factory on the boiler. And when you turn this switch up, this fan kicks on and this light kicks on, and the fan in the back, the induction fan for the boiler, kicks off. So that when you open the door, this fan is on, the other fan's off, not blowing hot air and smoke in your face. And then you shut everything back off. You shut this switch off, the light goes off, this fan goes off, and the other fan, if the boiler's still calling for heat, will kick back on. This light also acts as like it's a warning or a alert that, hey, your fan is not going to kick on if this light is on. So say you walk into your house, you're in there for a couple hours and you realize this light's still on. Well, that means you left this switch on. That boiler, no matter if it's calling for heat or not, that fan's not going to kick on. So you need to come back out here, switch that to off to where the boiler can actually heat the water. So just kind of a nice built-in safety feature, as well as it's a light for when you're loading the boiler at night. Alright, let's take a look at this fan. So that was definitely the case. It definitely melted. Probably see it a little better from this side. There's pieces in there. Melted right off or broke off or something. But that's why the motor wasn't turning. Anyway, time for a new fan. Alright, another thing I wanted to do is see this sight glass? That tells me the water level in the boiler, but it's getting pretty nasty, so I'm going to take it off and see if I can't clean it out. I got a plug right here to put in it for the time being, because it will start spraying water everywhere. So I'm guessing, nope, this top just comes right off. It's just a glass tube, so yeah, I should be able to stick something down in there and just clean that sediment out. If not, I'll buy another one while I'm down to town. The sight glass is good as new. I just took that cap off, slid the glass tube out, sprayed some Windex in there, and then took a paper towel, wadded it up, and shoved it through with a screwdriver, and now it's crystal clear. So here on the back of the boiler is the induction fan. This is that fan that I showed you that blows into the underneath the firebox, stokes the fire when it gets a call for heat. It had this black gasket here on it, and as you can see, it's starting to get real brittle and crack, and that's not good, because if the boiler can still draft through here even when there's no call for heat. So how this works is this solenoid opens when there's a call for heat, closes when there's no call for heat, and that basically allows the fire to just smolder in there. You can only get it up to a certain temperature. If you get it up to like boiling, for example, you'll probably crack the water jacket on the boiler and you'll have leaking issues. You'll have a real mess. So this is kind of a safety thing. It just goes up there and it helps seal this off a little bit better. So I got this rubber material here and I just cut that to size, and hopefully that'll do the trick. All right, so now that I got this smoke exhaust, smoke evac fan hooked up, I'll show you kind of how that works. Got to go back here and plug it in. So this quad receptacle is basically just powered to the boiler. It's wired into my panel in the basement and run through conduit underground. So let me plug the fan for the boiler in on, and you can see this fan, this induction fan for the actual firebox kicked on, because the water is not up to temp. It's actually probably ambient temp, which is what, 65 degrees maybe in here. And that fan will run and feed whatever fire is in the firebox until it reaches my set point here on the thermostat, which is 160 degrees. So once it hits 160, this fan will kick off and it won't come back on again until this temperature, the water temperature, drops 10 degrees down to 150 degrees. So as that induction fan is running back there, I'll show you, if I were to come out and load this boiler while that's running, I would flip that switch, it kicks off the induction fan, kicks on my smoke evacuation fan and this light so that I can see what I'm doing. The light's more for, you know, if your boiler's outside and you don't have a bunch of nice lighting in here like I do, but that's how that works. So then when I would get done filling my boiler, I'd kick that back off, my induction fan in the back would kick on, and it would continue to feed air to that fire until it gets up to temp. So while I'm back here, you've got your two separate pumps. This is my loop pump for the house for my radiant floor heating, this loop pump for my garage. I've got videos, lots of videos on how that works. I'm gonna leave these both off while I start the fire, so that we're just heating the water. We're not circulating water everywhere. So we'll let the fire get up to temp, or the water to get up to temp, before we plug the pumps in. One thing you can do here is kind of check your water. I leave the water in year round now, but if you don't, you want to make sure you fill your boiler. It's suggested you leave the water in it, because otherwise you're exposing the steel on the inside here, your inside of your water jacket or whatever, to oxygen, and it's slowly corroding. So my water's still full, so I don't have to top it off or anything, so we can skip that step. But if I did have to fill it, I'd get the hose out and I'd fill it in this fill spout right here. I've got this in there, it just kind of keeps evaporation to a minimum. Just a little cap. Great way to get rid of all your papers and your cardboard and all that. Certainly a great way to get rid of your scrap wood shop wood, especially for kindling like this. I don't think that fire rope I bought is big enough. See, it's leaking around the door. I might be able to get it a little tighter, but I don't think it's gonna work. That kind of stinks. It's actually a good thing I didn't put this silicone on with the 3/4 inch stuff, being that it was too small, because it would have made it a pain probably to get off. This is just to help create a more airtight seal. And it holds your fire rope in place so that it doesn't get stuck to your door frame here and pull out of your groove every time you open the door. Work your way up around. Alright, no more leaks now that I got the 1-inch fire rope in there. Everything's looking good. So this is heating up. And I've got 50 foot of 3/4 inch fire rope. If any of my buddies need it, let me know. It's yours. We're up to, you guys can see that better than I can, but pretty close to 160. The sight glass working, that's pretty much full. It doesn't go all the way to the top before it hits the overflow. Right there is pretty much full. It might go a little bit more. Looking good. Sorry about my lighting here, but one thing you can do that I forgot to mention is kind of check what your water looks like each year, and you just do that by draining a little bit off. Now mine's kind of got like a red tint to it. I'm sure there's some corrosion inside the boiler there. It's all mild steel probably, and the boiler's probably 20 years old, so you'll have that. I also run a boiler treatment in this every year, or every other year. I usually put a gallon in, and that just is supposed to inhibit rust and I think just kind of neutralize your pH so that you don't have acidic water sitting in your water jacket. But anyway, that's probably gonna wrap this video up, guys, and house is toasty warm. Fire's ripping and roaring. So I think we'll call that a success. Next stop, probably May or late April. Thanks for watching, guys.